Let's get back to Trump's trade war. For the better part of a year, he was threatening to impose tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China. He has followed through on that threat and now they are in effect. Joining me now is Everett Eissenstat, who served as an economic advisor to Trump in his first administration. First of all, thank you for your time. Should we be surprised?
I don't think so. This is something the president campaigned on prior to his election, and then he won the election with a majority of the votes. He won the swing states and also brought the House and Senate with him. So I feel like he's representing what he believes is a mandate for tariffs. He's very transparent about tariffs. He said he was going to do this, and one thing I remember from the first administration is he generally does what he says he's going to do, and that certainly is the case with the tariffs here today.
Yeah, he's essentially blamed Mexico, Canada and China for varying degrees of enabling a fentanyl crisis in America. So has he been clear, do you think, when these tariffs would be lifted? I mean, is there a kind of degree or mark of success for lifting those tariffs? It's hard to measure how much fentanyl is coming across the border and from where, right?
Well, it is. And I think, this is a bigger picture question as well. And of course, everybody wants to know what's the off ramp, right? What do we need to do to get back to the situation before the tariffs? I think it's going to be hard to do. These problems have been persistent for quite some time. And there's a number of other things where he feels the trading relationship with Mexico and Canada are unfair, and particularly with China, which has had tariffs on it from the United States for many years now. So it's not clear exactly what is going to be necessary to rebalance this relationship, but we are hopeful that over time that will be achievable.
Everett, you put it far more articulately than I did. The off-ramp is the way to explain it here. But it's hard to see what that is, as you say. Is there something bigger at play here? Is this just a bit of a fig leaf for a trade war that Trump always wanted to have?
I don't think it's a fig leaf. I think the concerns are real. I mean, fentanyl is a very, very horrible problem in the United States, and there's always more that we can do to stop it on both sides of the border. So I think that the concerns are legitimate. It's not just about fentanyl; it's also about the migration flows. Yeah. And hopefully this will lead to, greater collaboration and cooperation. But there are other issues at stake here. The president has said that, he's going to use tariffs aggressively for a number of reasons. And these are some of the reasons he has chosen to do so. But there's other things, as I mentioned, including a large trade deficit, some unfair trade barriers that have existed for quite some time. So there's a lot of work to be done, and hopefully this will be the starting gun of getting that work done and not just an escalation of a continued retaliatory tariff after tariff.
Yeah, that's right. And this is not without risk for him, because he does risk driving up the cost of living for all Americans, doesn't he?
Well, there's always a risk when you do something big like this, and this is big. Nothing like this has happened in the United States for decades. He's not afraid of risk, and he does feel like this is the right thing to do. He thinks this will help make the economy in the United States rich. He believes that tariffs actually drive investment into the United States. There may be and there's evidence of that as well. And there's other parts of the agenda, including a deregulatory agenda, tax cuts that would, in the minds of the administration, alleviate any inflationary effects that inflation might cause.
Everett, so you think we should strap in? This is just not going to be a flash in the pan. This is something that Donald Trump has long warned. He'll follow through with it. And what about countries like Australia? Because we're not exposed. Of course, if the US and China get in a tit for tat, we will be collateral in all of that. But we do run a trade deficit with the United States that he was reminded of last time he was in office, when Malcolm Turnbull, or Trumbull, as he liked to describe it, was the Prime Minister. How does he view Australia from, and has that evolved since you were last there with him in the White House?
I don't know that it's evolved. I think the relationship with Australia continues to be strong. And one of the things you asked was, is this the beginning of a new dynamic in international trade? And I think it is. There was actually, on January 20th, he issued the America First trade policy. And that has a lot of provisions in it, including a review of all the free trade agreements with every country. Now, you're right, Australia does have a deficit with the United States. And because that's one of the metrics for fairness, I believe that will be important. There may be other parts of the economic relationship that could be improved. And of course, those will be under study as the reports come into the administration and are reviewed. And as a reminder, those reports are coming in very soon, in fact, April 1st. So we're not very far away from some of those as well.
Was there anything specific to Australia from the last administration that you would say are certainly aspects, be more specific about what should be improved or what he thinks could be improved with Australia that we should be worried about, Everett?
Well, there's always some bilateral tensions in certain commodity products. I don't want to name any today, but I do take your point about Australia and its kind of being stuck between China and the United States, and that this creates a really harsh dynamic. We do appreciate, I know he appreciates the importance Australia plays in a security relationship, and that is obviously an important factor and an additive to the strong trade relationship we have. But we'll have to see the results of the report, and I'm sure there'll be a continued dialogue with the Australian government for not just this immediate term, but also for over the next several years.
Well, we hope so. Everett, so great to pick your brain this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.